Hey you guys, welcome back to another episode of Branding While Black. I'm your host, Shaney Washington, and my mission is to educate, empower, and economically develop my people. If you missed last episode, we are going to be, I am going to be reading you a entry from the book that I'm working on. It's my very first book that I'm doing, and it's going to be called Dear Talentpreneur. And basically, in this book, I am writing kind of journal entries that gives not only tells my journey as a talentpreneur, but some of my downfalls and also give some advice on things that people that are just starting out, like leaving their job and trying to go into freelancing or trying to turn their freelancing into like an actual entity, trying to do that. So I actually give advice on those things in the book. And what I really want is feedback. So this is like my viability test to see if this is, really a thing, if it's really beneficial, if it's going to work. So today we are going to be talking about how to not build your brand to be the cheap option, right? Because remember, we're talking about mostly service-based businesses. So without further ado, I'm just going to get started. Dear Talentpreneur, a thought occurred to me today as I reflected on my entrepreneurial journey. The reason some of us cannot move forward in our business structure is because we have become comfortable being the cheap option. Now, don't get me wrong, sometimes this may be necessary to get some clout behind your name and some testimonies, but that should also be transactional, meaning that it should not be offered to everyone. So, let me break that down by telling you a story from my challenging days of business. And this is business from like when I wasn't side hustling, when I decided to become a full-time entrepreneur. During the pandemic, I was approached a few times to live stream funeral services. I was not someone that wanted to be at funerals and thought it was weird to live stream them because I just felt like it was morbid, to be honest. However, the first funeral I agreed to do was a favor to a client. As I prepared for any other live streaming event, I created graphics and links for the family and just marched on. Keep in mind, I did not want to do this in the first place. So I charged the family $75, right? This included me setting up during the viewing, the actual event, and the custom graphics. I never thought I would do another funeral again. But this is the pandemic that we're talking about. This was actually at the peak of the pandemic when many people were dying. And honestly, I kept getting approached to live stream funerals. So I had to really decide if this was going to be a thing for my business. Initially, I said no, but here's what changed my initial thoughts. I spoke directly to families that said this service is such a blessing for them because COVID-19 would not permit many of their family members to travel. So I thought to myself, a blessing, really? Okay. So then a light bulb went off in my head. OMG, I am actually helping families in their time of need. How could you be so damn selfish just because you don't want to be at a funeral? So, in my career as a marketer, one rule of thumb is to listen to your customer. They always tell you what you need, or they always tell you what they need, I should say. You just have to be willing to listen. So, back to the story. after I decided to add this service to my business, I still had an internal struggle. I did not feel comfortable actually charging people a large price while they were mourning and planning a funeral. I felt like I was taking advantage of them. So, guess what I did? That's right. I continued to charge $75. And that one decision is set off a series of events. So, of course, charging $75, I started getting booked up like crazy. Like almost every weekend I was booked in, even during the week sometimes. So one particular funeral, I was double booked by accident. And I called one of my videographers to fill in. But I was still only charging $75. However, I had to pay the videographer closer to around $140 for the job. I was like, wait, hold the F up. I'm actually losing money. So something is going to have to change, right? So I went up slightly on the rate to 125. Still getting booked up. Even formed some partnerships with a few funeral homes. Things were actually going okay. And as long as I was shooting myself, I kept thinking, everything would be fine. I could still stay within my margins. But I know that I'm not charging enough at this point. Plus, there was extra preparation that had to be completed for some funerals that I should have been charging for. Like, for example, some customers would contact me to live stream a funeral. They don't know if the venue even has internet. So if I have to bring internet with me, that should be a charge. If I cannot hook up into their sound system, and I have to kind of rig it up a little bit, that should be a charge. Like, there was extra work that had to go into doing some of these funerals, because I had to really do more leg work than what I had to initially before I started opening it up to everybody. And yeah, I should have been charging. So I went up on my rates again to $250. But now at this point, I have streamlined options. So at this point, I streamlined the options, right? So some people are still continuing to book without batting an eye, while some are hesitating. That was the hesitation I was looking for. There's only one me, which means that my time that I have to do a service, there has to be a balance between scarcity and value, meaning that it has to be valuable for both me and the customer, and my price should create a level of exclusion that says not everyone can afford to book me. And I have a superior service that's better than you doing it yourself. Once the need was established and the word of mouth started getting around, I had more leverage and motivation not to be the cheap option. When you are selecting your price point, you are selecting the type of customer that comes with that price point. For most talentpreneurs, after they get a few reps in, it's time to reevaluate and reprice, right? Being the cheap option is tempting, especially in the beginning, to get customers. But make sure you're ready for what comes with that. One reason that stands out for me more than others is the customer service. I want to provide like very accommodating services to all my clients, no matter what the price point is that got them in the door. I want to treat them all like VIPs. However, I notice even when I'm offering a sale or, something that's not really that expensive, I get clients who, really don't know what they want. They want you to be a mind reader. They're very demanding and usually want extra services that they didn't pay for, and they don't understand why the service don't come with whatever they paid for. So when people don't have to think about the dollar amount it takes to work with you, you start to attract those types of clients. And if you don't bend over backwards for them, they will leave you a review that says as such. But when they have to think about the investment that it takes to work with you, now you're cooking. See, your clients will tend to be more intentional about what they want from you because they have to think it through. These types of clients usually don't play around, and they value what you can bring to the table, and they value that more than whatever discount that you can give them. So the moral of the story is price yourself correctly. And I know that it can be a struggle in the beginning to figure out what's the best price point. And I wish that there was some kind of magic bullet or some kind of magic percentage or magic formula that I can give you to help you create your prices. But to be honest, this is a part of the entrepreneurial journey. It is truly trial and error, and I hate it too. But it's truly trial and error. Like, you have to put it out there, see the response and stuff, and then not only pay attention to the feedback that you get, pay attention to the types of customers that you attract. Pay attention to the questions that they ask. Pay attention to how much time it takes you to prepare to do whatever you have to do for them. Pay attention to the time that it takes you to actually do the job and stuff. Pay attention to how they prefer to be contacted. Always put everything in writing. Especially when you're offering something at a very discounted rate. Make sure everything that's supposed to come with that only is on paper on your website, in a contract, terms and conditions. However you want to do that, a service agreement, whatever. Make sure that you are covered, and make sure that they understand like what the expectation is. Okay, so for this price, you get A, B, and C. It's not gonna come with D. It's not gonna come with E. So this is what you get, and this is the time frame that you can expect to get it. Not before, not after. So and I promise, and I don't know if that sounds mean or not, but when you do it that way, it actually helps you distinguish yourself, like, as one, you're no nonsense, that you are about business, and two, that you are very clear on what it is that you want out of your customer. Because remember, this is transactional. This is a two-way street. Not only do you have to I don't want to say please them, but not only do you have to do good work for them and be pleasant to work with, your clients also should be pleasant to work with. Now, I'm not saying everybody's going to be all nice and, kisses and hugs and rainbows and stuff, but there's a level of professionalism, that it's okay to refuse service. It's okay to give people their money back and say, hey, look, we're not a good fit. And I've actually had to do that. to at least about 3 clients. Like we just wasn't a good fit. Like constantly, questioning questioning my pricing, and I found myself spending more time defending what my pricing was versus the actual services that they were getting. So I was like, you know what, pineapples, I can't do this. I'm not going to do this. And that was gonna be about a 6-month contract for that particular client. And I was like, you know what? It's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. And I protect my time and I protect my peace at any cost. So, and I don't sacrifice it for anyone, not in my business. I don't sacrifice my time that I set aside for myself and my family, and I do not waver on my peace of mind for anybody. So that's something to think about as well when you're trying to decide if you want to be the least expensive option in your industry. And it doesn't matter what the industry is. Everybody has somebody that's considered the cheap option. And don't forget the stigma that comes with being the cheap option, saying that, it must not be better. I actually heard on a podcast the other day that somebody said, I never bought something for $100 that changed my life. And I was like, interesting. And when you think about it, have you ever bought something for $100 that has changed your life? So just something to think about. All right, you guys. So that is that entry from Dear Talentpreneur. Thank you so much for listening, and I can't wait to see you again. I'm starting to put these episodes up twice a week on Mondays and Wednesdays. So definitely stay tuned and share with your favorite talentpreneur and let them get in on this conversation. Please feel free to follow me. I'm mostly on Instagram these days, but you can follow me anywhere. It's at Shaney J. Washington. And if you're watching on YouTube right now, please hit that subscribe button as well as the notification bell so you won't miss a thing. All right, you guys, have a fantabulous day, and I'll see you soon.